With the talks of a recession on the horizon, one, how should we prepare for that hit on our finances / the real estate market? And two, what are the best tips and worst tips that we should adhere to? I.e., I was told to buy because when the market goes up, I can sell.
I don't get any time people talk about the market is going to go down, these recession talks. There's always recession talks. I remember last year, people were talking about a recession. A recession is like going to come the next year. And now the markets are up, like this year is something like 20%. Now, over the last 2 years, the market has averaged 7%. Fine. But still, I mean, had you listened to these people in 2015 saying that the market was about to crash, you would have missed out on like 35% of profit right there. Ignore all the recession talk. I think it's completely useless. Everyone just keeps predicting a recession until eventually they're right. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, I'm a genius. And they get all these book deals and everyone listens to them because they were right once, but they forget the 50 times they predicted the market was going to crash and they were wrong. So I don't think I would ever plan or strategize or try to time the market in such a way to like predict a crash because chances are you'll be wrong most of the time. And overall, the market does go up more than it goes down. But I would say the best things you can do is just make sure you have an emergency fund of 3 to 6 months. That way, if the market does go down, you're not going to need to sell off your investments to pay your bills. So an emergency fund to really optimize your spending as much as you can and just cut out things that you don't really need that aren't really adding much value. That way you get your expenses down. And besides that, I would really just make sure you work hard and you make yourself as indispensable in your career as possible. And that way, if there is downsizing of any sort, at the very least, they'll know that you contribute a little bit more than everyone else and would be less likely to be let go.
Yeah, I feel like so I do agree with that to an extent in the sense that no one can predict the market. If they could, there would be a lot more really rich people out there. Yeah. But I think more importantly than that, even if you could predict the market, you can't predict your own life and what is going to be happening at that time in your life. So I feel like more, because I mean, obviously we do know that these things are cyclical and that it's likely that there will be some kind of a recession eventually.
Yes.
Whether that's in the next 6, 18, or 50 months, we don't know, but we know that it's likely to happen.
Agreed.
So I think my general philosophy, and I think there are times that I lean into it more than others when it seems more likely to be sooner than later, is to keep your options open as much as possible, which I think you very much agree with. But also try to build in as much flexibility as you can to your own big life financial moments. As an example, to not feel like you are so tied into when you need to own a home that you're going to be incredibly tied to how much those homes might be costing. Or if you, for example, were investing in the market to grow your down payment fund, really beholden to when you're taking it out. Or similarly, if you're going to retire in the next 5 years, doing everything you can to protect yourself against having to retire into a terrible market.
Agreed.
Whether that's potentially setting up a second job that you could hold on to just a year if you absolutely needed to delay retirement, or whether it's, really diversifying your streams of income for like the 5 years before that. So you have a much bigger emergency fund cushion to live on before you have to take that money out. Whatever it is, just making sure that you are not completely subject to the whims of the market.
I agree.
Look at that.